Don't move to Jacksonville, North Carolina unless you can handle these 5 things. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Living in Jacksonville, North Carolina channel. I'm Avery with the Living in Jacksonville team and American home team at eXp Realty. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're notified every Tuesday and Thursday that I drop a new video relating to all things southeastern North Carolina, Camp Lejeune, surrounding areas. Guys, as much as I love making these videos, I would love even more to help you with your real estate needs. That phone number and email address on the screen. Go ahead, shoot me a text, phone call, or an email. I am the guy that responds to those. I would love to have a conversation with you regarding your move to southeastern North Carolina. And without further ado, guys, we're talking about 5 things you're going to have to deal with if you're considering a move to Jacksonville, North Carolina. And the first being that it is heavily military influenced area. Jacksonville, North Carolina has Camp Lejeune and MCAS New River right here. So you are going to hear a lot of helicopters and a lot of airplanes, a lot of gun activity, artillery activity. It's just one of those things that comes with a military presence. We are one of the largest Marine Corps installations in the world, and that's something that a lot of us are proud of. However, if you're not used to it and you want a little bit of a quieter atmosphere, you might want to go to the southwestern side of Wilmington. Camp Lejeune is noisy. It can be noisy. There's a lot of Marines here. There's a lot of military activity here. So something you're going to want to consider before moving to Jacksonville, North Carolina. And with that said, you will notice a bunch of Marines out in town. So if you're frequenting the bars, the restaurants, cigar lounges, like hooligans or anything like that, you will see a crowd of Marines. Some of them may or may not act a fool out in town. Don't judge them too hard. They work very hard and they play very hard. But that's something you're going to want to consider. There's a lot of Marines all over the place. So if you don't like the Marine Corps, if you don't like the Navy, the Army, anyone that could be here on Camp Lejeune or MCAS New River, this is not the place for you because they're all over the place. All right, and number 2 is the subtropical climate. I love this about this area, but a lot of people don't like the subtropical climate. That means that it's hot and it's humid the majority of the year. You do get a lot of rain in the summer months, specifically because of hurricane season. So a lot of those tropical storms, a lot of those hurricanes hit us because we're on the coast. So there's a lot of rain, a lot of humidity. It's just part of living here. So if you don't like the humidity or the heat, then you're going to want to reconsider Jacksonville because we get all of it. The other thing is that because of hurricane season and tropical storms and things, you are going to want to consider flood zones. Flood zones are prevalent around here. And, as we get more and more crazy weather with rain and wind and that kind of thing, there's flooding all around the area. So, you are going to want to consider that because you will have to get flood insurance. You're going to want wind and hail insurance. You're going to want to protect your property, which sometimes can come with a cost. So that's all things that you're going to want to consider as far as the climate goes. And if you have long hair that gets frizzy in the humidity, you might want to reconsider Jacksonville as well. I know a lot of women here that just keep their hair up all the time because it just gets frizzy, my wife being one of them. So think about that before you relocate here. But I really don't think it's that bad. I think beautiful sunny days like today are definitely worthwhile. When you can go out on the beach and chill, have a few drinks, do your thing, it definitely beats the rain and the tropical storms and things. But it is very real that you need to think about that kind of thing every single year. All right, and number 3 is the lack of cultural amenities. And this is a small town problem. Jacksonville, North Carolina is a small town, about 75,000 residents now. And, the city hasn't really developed to what Wilmington is, or even, some other bigger cities in North Carolina like Raleigh or Winston-Salem, right? So a lot of the nightclubs and stuff, you just won't get it here, as well as like cultural foods and restaurants, you don't get a huge variety, that kind of thing in this area. Those are limited in this area. So like, there's not a lot of Italian food in the area, like good authentic Italian food, you know. So there's a lot of things that people complain about as far as the amenities go to this area. However, a lot of people that live here in the area live here because it's a small town. They live here because it's a little more laid back. There's access to the nearby beaches, right? So yeah, you have to travel to get some of those bigger activities, some of those better amenities, but you do get a little bit more of a laid back vibe on the day to day because it is a small town. So something you're gonna wanna think about, if you're looking for that big city vibe, Jacksonville ain't the place for you. But if you are looking for a small town, Jacksonville is gonna be the place for you. All right, number 4 is the traffic congestion. Jacksonville is a growing city, and due to the influx of people, there's a lot more traffic than there once was. Obviously, that comes with growth of any city. However, you couple that with the military bases, and those peak hours, right? Like working hours, like early in the morning and then later in the afternoon when everyone's getting off work, get really, really congested. I know, you know, the Marines going on to base, it could take them 15, 20 minutes just to get on base, not including their commute, but 15 to 20 minutes just to get through the gate. So part of that is the influx of people. Part of that is the lack of infrastructure for traffic, and then, you know, military presence as well. So if you're looking for jobs in Jacksonville versus like where you're gonna live, right? Something you're gonna wanna consider, you're gonna wanna pull up some alternative routes to drive so that you don't get stuck in that traffic. You know, I've talked about it before, but I'm one that will go out of my way to prevent getting stuck in traffic. And oftentimes I find that I make it to work or wherever I need to go a lot faster than if I were to take the highway system. That's just something that, you know, comes with moving to any city or town. You will have to figure out the traffic patterns, and you will have to figure out the best path to get you to and from in the shortest amount of time. That's just the way it is. So a lot of people complain about the traffic, and that comes with the influx of people in the growing city. But I wanted to mention it here because it does get pretty bad at times, especially during the peak season of like the tourists and stuff. So the summer months, it's gonna get pretty bad. All right, and number 5, last but not least, Jacksonville, North Carolina has done a great job of keeping up with the influx of people. However, they have not done a good enough job. So a lot of the buildings, you'll notice some of the older buildings and stuff, they look older and they look run down. So some of the infrastructure and the development just hasn't kept pace. Along with that, public transport hasn't kept pace either with the influx of people. So that is something that you're gonna wanna consider if you're moving here, and you know, maybe you don't have a car or you don't have a license, is the public transport is just not there, right? Along with some of the other public services that the government provides, you just don't have, it's not keeping up with the pace of the population growth here in Jacksonville. So something you're gonna wanna think about if you're looking for a bigger city that has, you know, all of those amenities and all of those public services and stuff, Jacksonville's not gonna be the place. You know, it is still growing, it is still adapting and learning, but in my opinion, not doing a good enough job here at this point in 2023. So something you're definitely gonna wanna consider prior to moving here. You know, you might be thinking if Jacksonville is better than Wilmington or vice versa. In that regard, I would say Wilmington is a little better than Jacksonville, but Wilmington is further ahead than Jacksonville as well. So something to consider there. But with all that said, guys, I hope you guys learned something from this video. I am the guy that responds to all of the text messages, emails, and phone calls. I appreciate you guys reaching out. So that phone number and email address popping up on the screen, I love when you reach out. So shoot me a text, call, email. I would love to have a conversation with you. But until the next video, guys, peace. Have a good one. See ya.